Party's not a party's a man who fights crime, and we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute! Hello everyone, and welcome back to Bat Minute and Robin, the podcast where we have a rather unique perspective on each minute of Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here to pump up your brains, but not your lips, sadly. You have to pay separately for that. It's your other host, John Parker.
And once again, we're joined today by returning guests, blooming once again in the corner. It is Chief Film Cricket.
Don't correct it. I love it.
But yes, it was Clarisse, next Supreme herself, Clarisse Loughrey.
Hello.
Well, say actually, this is quite appropriate because you had a choice of minutes, Clarisse. I remember saying I thought I was pandering to you in a way. I was like, I'll offer some of the spooky gothic Arkham minutes. And then the Poison Ivy stuff to see which Clarisse goes for, and you immediately was like, "Yep, Poison Ivy."
Immediately, like, Poison Ivy.
Why wouldn't you pick Poison Ivy?
That's what I was like. Oh, she's definitely going to go for this Arkham stuff. Like, no. It was. But I think it's quite really appropriate because wasn't your first appearance on Bat Minute was I think it was the build up to Selina Kyle getting pushed out the window by Max Schreck.
Yes. Well, yeah. This is the thing. I've always preferred, when it comes to DC, I just like the Batman villains, and I like especially the female villains. Like, they are by far the most interesting to me. That sort of trio of Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, because I don't know, it's very, there's no real equivalent in Marvel of just like women who are bad and having fun with it.
Yeah,
which is
that's a good point.
Yeah, it's my favorite kind of character, you know, just a bad lady who's having a good time.
I'm trying to think of any Marvel I suppose
we had Hela in Thor Ragnarok, but I think that was more that was Taika adding that more to the character than anything.
Plus, in the comics, you've got the Black Cat, but she's just Catwoman anyway.
And she's more of a goody good a lot of the time as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she is a thief, but she's not like bad.
She hasn't got the edge. She ain't got that Catwoman like sharpness to her, I don't think.
Yeah, because they're all kind of like, all three of them are kind of like weird and sexy, but in an off-putting way, and that's my favorite vibe. It's like
I like to be equally aroused and repulsed.
Yeah, that's what I want to project into the world. So that's why I love these women.
I think it is quite appropriate, though, because if you got Selina Kyle going out the window, now you've come back for Pamela Isley's resurrection in a very sort of similar storyline that they're going with here.
Yeah, going in the window of the greenhouse lab thing that she's in.
That works.
I think that one of those things, though, is that, and you know, trying to make the best of looking at this movie is like, oh, you know, they're just trying to have campy fun. But when you have to point out the similarities between Batman Returns and, you know, Poison Ivy's origin here, it's just like this film becomes very difficult to defend in that regard, because like the things that happen are just so like. That's the whole sequence that, you know, is coming up at the end of this minute and the beginning of the next, where, you know, not to jump ahead too far, but like Poison Ivy's trashing the place and stuff. And just that sequence in Batman Returns of like everything about Selina Kyle's built up so well, of how mousy she is now, you know, beaten down by the world and intimidated by her boss and belittled by all the men in the office. The misery of hearing the phone messages when she goes home, and then after she's been left for dead and treated like trash, coming back and then turning on, you know, they got the Elfman score building up. And it's really just building and building and building, and she's guzzling the milk. And then the message comes up from the Max Schreck department store offering, you know, Gotham's lady perfume. Maybe your boss might want to keep you after hours and stuff. And she freaks out and tears the whole place apart. And it's such a powerful scene. And then you see this. and it's just got none of that. Like, it's just the air has been sucked straight out of it.
Yeah,
and it's like, I just cannot defend the movie in that regard. It's like, why mirror it?
Yeah,
if you're just not even going to try,
but
you know?
I guess it's like, it is interesting how similar Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn are, in the sense that they all start out as like very, quite nerdy women with their glasses and their, shuffling about, not being noticed by the world. And then they have these very dramatic transformations. And it's this sort of thing in culture that you get all the time of the woman unleashed, right? The kind of the woman owning her sexuality, which is at the same time. And there's such like a thin line here of it being sort of like a fearful, like a scary thing, or an empowering moment. And like, that's what I find fascinating about even Catwoman, even Batman Returns. It's like, you could very easily read it either way. You look at Selena Kyle and you think, oh, that's so great. She just finally said, like, fuck everything. Fuck this guy. Fuck this society. I'm gonna be this woman who absolutely owns who she is, and she is a sexy cat because she loves her cats. And
it is a bit like the men writing it sort of thought, wouldn't it be terrible if women had power and agency?
I think to be fair to Daniel Waters, though, he did view it as empowering. Like, he was like, she's the hero of her own story. He was always very pro Catwoman when he was talking about it in interviews and stuff. So,
because she is, like, to me, she's the hero of the film.
Oh yeah, like, it's very like it's so hard to like condemn a lot of Selena Kyle's actions in Batman Returns. We had trouble with it. I was like, is she the bad guy? Is she really? And the thing is, now in a post promising young woman world, if you bring in Poison Ivy as a villain, it's kind of hard to portray her as a villain in a lot of ways. Like, it's like, well, what's she really doing? Like, what's
she wants to save the environment.
She's saving the environment. She's getting back at people who, this version, like, oh, killing Jason Woodrue is like, he had it coming.
He's a sleazebag.
Yeah, he killed her first.
Yeah, that's why I love the animated series where Poison Ivy's always correcting Harley, saying, I'm not a villain, I'm an eco-terrorist.
Yeah. I will say I do have a curious call for Emerald Fennell's Poison Ivy movie. I'm curious to see now. You got Joker, you had that out there. You could do a Mr. Freeze movie. You could do a Poison Ivy movie, and plus even the name Emerald Fennell. Great. It's got the green Anna herb in the name, for Christ's sake.
She's doing Zatanna.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, maybe
she's writing it. I don't know if she's directing, but she's writing a Zatanna movie, which I don't really know anything about her except she does stage magic, which immediately very funny to me. I want to watch that.
My only knowledge of her is from playing the video game Injustice, because she is possibly my favorite character in it, and I don't even know who she is.
I do like Zatanna because I just like top hats. I was like, she's always wearing a top hat.
Yeah.
Finally, we got top hat representation in these action movies.
My understanding is that she does stage magic, but then also magic. And I like that there's a distinction.
I've just realised we're 10 minutes in and you haven't said what minute this is now.
Oh my god, yeah. Of course, this is minute 26 of Batman and Robin. And it begins with an anatomical analysis, and it ends a minute later with the aftermath of a deadly kiss. Ooh. So, yeah. We get this reminded me quite a bit of in Doctor Who, when Matt Smith turned into Peter Capaldi, and his first lines were like, oh, kidneys, I've got new kidneys, I don't like the color. It's like, oh, so apparently he's just aware of what his kidneys look like.
That's wild.
And then in this, it's like, oh yeah, they replaced, the toxins had a rather unique effect on me. They've replaced my blood with aloe, my skin with chlorophyll. It's like, she just knows this already.
I was going to ask that. That's my note. Like, how does she know?
Yeah, I guess it could be just like an animal instinct. Like,
I guess I would just be like, something strange has happened to me.
Yeah.
I've turned into a drag queen, but like, she is literally a plant. That
part of me does wish there was like a version of this where you get like, oh, sexy, beautiful looking Uma Thurman, but she's describing all this stuff, and it turns out like that's actually an effect of the pheromone, and for a second it wears off Woodrue, and he just sees this like chlorophyll skinned hideous monster standing in front of him.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But then she blows more in his face, and it's back to Uma Thurman again. It's like, oh, that'd be actually like a real weird way to take this.
That'd be cool.
I'm kind of behind that. I like that. That's a new take.
It's like, oh, hey, if Emerald Fellow's out there, if you want to write Poison Ivy into your Zatanna movie, you can take that idea too.
I have another question as well, because she says her lips are now full and plump with venom.
Yes.
Now, my question here is, right, she says venom because plants, you get venomous plants and things. But we literally know from a few seconds ago there's a chemical called venom.
Yeah.
So that's confusing.
It's very. Is she talking about the venom that they pumped Bane full of?
See, that's the thing. She can't be, right?
Then his mouth does kind of puff up a bit. So it's like, is his mouth turning into a giant muscle or something?
I thought it was venom. I thought when this blab is getting smashed up, there was a little jar of venom. Did I completely?
There are jars, yeah.
I thought one of them was very quietly labeled venom. And she had some of it inside of her, and that's because it can't just be that she got covered in chlorophyll, because that wouldn't make you Poison Ivy, right?
Well, that's the whole thing's bizarre, because we've seen what venom does, and it doesn't do this. If anything, you'd cast her like a female wrestler in her role. You get like, I don't know, Charlotte Flair to play Poison Ivy.
I guess she's just sucked it into her. She's excreting it back out. I don't know if it's affecting her in that.
Or I guess she's not had a prolonged exposure.
Yeah, or it could be one of like a really old-fashioned way of thinking, where it's like it exacerbates the traits of your gender. So the masculine guy becomes really, really buff, and the female, she becomes really alluring and sexy. It's like
sexy.
Yeah, it's this like really old-fashioned dinosaur brain thinking. Like, oh, that's the way that works, right?
That's the only two ways to be.
Yes.
Part of me does wish it was established that it is the venom in Bane, and when she kisses Woodrue, like his lips start doing a big CGI puffing out and going crazy and stuff. I also kind of wish as well they did another Batman Returns callback where like she's like, oh, my skin was replaced with chlorophyll and my hair is now mistletoe, and he's like, mistletoe could be deadly. And she's like, but a kiss could be even deadlier.
Oh yeah, it is a deadly kiss, isn't it? I love the way she kisses him to deliver the fatal dose, but she doesn't even look at him as she does it.
Because she's given proper evil eyes to the camera, and it's doing that great sound effect. Yeah. I'm not too sure what that instrument is they're using to do that, but that is genuinely very good.
See, I thought maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I thought like the way she's not looking at him, it's almost like, she can't bear to look at this guy. If she has to kiss him, she's going to kiss him to kill him. But I don't want to look at him. Screw him. I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, I find the delivery of these pieces of dialogue quite odd, because she's looking at something off camera that is, and I don't know. Her performance is really, really strange here, because it seems very put on. I think more in other parts of the film, she's kind of more self-consciously Poison Ivy, and she's very much doing the powerful, ultra camp, but just in this very small section, I feel like she really is not meaning what she's saying. Because she's just she's looking at a cue, it's like she's looking, she's on SNL and she's looking at the cue card trying to read her line, and it's so bizarre because I can tell it's a conscious choice, but I don't know what the choice is.
I like it, yeah, because I think she's doing it like, I'm going to kill you, but I'm not even going to look at you. You're nothing. So she's just like, I'm not even going to stare at you as I kill you. Screw you. Who are you?
To me, it's almost like it's borderline fourth wall break. If she winked at the camera, I wouldn't have been surprised. It's like, you know what this is, right?
But that would have worked. Yeah. But she's looking at something, but the something is,
I think she's looking,
I don't know what it is.
I think she's looking at nothing. As somebody with bad eyes, I sometimes just almost like switch them off, if that makes sense. Like I just don't look at something. I'm not looking at anything. And people will say, "What are you looking at?" Nothing.
They'll say there's some great behind the scenes interviews with John Glover, and he is of course doing that sort of things like, "Oh yeah, that was a tough day having to kiss Uma Thurman over and over and over again and stuff."
God.
But he is going for that kiss though. It's a proper like, like he's like a goddamn fish going in the first place.
He's taking his chance, But the tongue, like you mentioned, wouldn't it be funny if it was like all CG? That's something I wanted to mention as well. Like for this movie, the actual effect on his tongue of the poisons is subtle. Because it would be so easy to just make it ridiculously like engorged, wouldn't it? But it's only a little bit, and it's a little bit green. It's the only time this movie's held back.
Yeah. It does look quite effective, that, because it looks like it's genuinely he's having like an allergic reaction to something. It's now like even later on too, when you see other poison ivy victims, they have the kind of the greenness in the veins and stuff. But that's quite effective. I was like, I guess the message across. So
you could have easily just made it like Jar Jar Binks when he numbs his tongue. My tongue.
This is it's like he's had a chlorophyll slushy.
It reminded me again of someone eating blackjacks, but then that's where we kept saying about the penguin in Batman Returns as well.
And remember, all the American listeners were like, "What's a blackjack?" Like, oh, god damn it!
I was like, I envy them not knowing. I goddamn hate blackjacks.
I never liked them as a kid. I might like them as an adult, but I haven't had them. Why would you ever pick them when you could get the fruit salads by the same company? They're much nicer. Go get a fruit salad.
Do you have any strong feelings on blackjacks, Clarisse? Because you're transatlantic yourself. You've gone from one country to the next.
Well, they're quite hard to get now, right?
I don't know. As I'm not a child, are sweets the same? Can you just walk into a shop and get sweets like when we were kids? I don't know.
Should mention though, because now we do get the sad departure of the movie by John Glover. You a big John Glover fan, Clarisse? Like. I absolutely love this guy. Like, anytime I see him pop up in films, like, oh, here we go. Friggin' John Glover showing up. Now we're in for a treat.
Because he was in Gremlins too, right?
Yeah. He was the weirdly nice Trump stand-in, which was like, I don't think Gremlins 2 would be made the same way nowadays than it was in the 1990s.
I don't know. He's not made much of an impression on me, I'll be honest. Because I just went, it's the guy from Gremlins 2 while watching this.
To me, he's still Lionel Luthor from Smallville. So I'm like, that guy's great.
I think I only know him from Gremlins, I'll be honest. Yeah, I've never seen Smallville.
Oh, then Scrooged. He's the guy who's gunning for Bill Murray's job.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Oh, Scrooged. Yeah. I love Scrooged.
He's in, he has a memorable bit in Annie Hall. He gets, I think he's like an ex-boyfriend of Annie Hall. And he's like a pretentious actor, and he's talking about like he wants to get eaten alive by animals and stuff like that. And it's just one of those like, that's a memorable bit from that movie.
We're not allowed to talk about Annie Hall anymore.
Yeah. But should mention though, just like a couple little final notes on John Glover. He is married to Adam Kurtzman, who is a sculptor on Pee-wee's Playhouse. So there you go, like some old Tim Burton connection there. But also apparently there is footage of him reading the lines of John Kreese in The Karate Kid. So there's a sort of he might well have been like an alternate choice before they got that guy in who actually did. Oh no,
the
John
guy
Kreese.
Who's Kreese though is perfect.
Oh, he is fantastic
because he actually looks like he would kick the crap out of you.
But to be fair to John Glover, he's like 76 now. He still looks great.
Yeah, but Kreese looks like a machine.
Yeah, Kreese does. He's been the same age. Like both those guys have just aged very, very well. Like. But yeah, it's one of those things though. It kind of bugged me in that like, John Glover's a big theater guy. Like he just loves like in that interview with Michael Rosenbaum, he was like saying like, well, what are you looking forward to after the pandemic? And he's just like getting back out in the theater. I just that's my lifeblood. I love being on the stage and stuff. And then just looking in some of the playbills of stuff he's been in just made me really resent not living in America because like you get to see these people in plays just willy nilly. Like in Liverpool. We get occasionally, like, good plays will come along, but there won't be, like, big famous people in them. Occasionally you might get Sinbad from Brookside will be a panto or something.
Well, yeah, that's like, I saw a play, and this will mean nothing to 99% of listeners, and it had the guy who's Nathan Barley in. And I was impressed. I was like, oh my God, it's Nathan Barley. I know nobody else knew what the hell I was talking about.
But like, apparently he was in a production of Waiting for Godot with Nathan Lane and John Goodman. He was in a production of Macbeth as one of the witches, and co-starred Ethan Hawke. Of course, I think around this time was actually hooked up with Uma Thurman. Yeah. Of course, then they had the daughter Maya Thurman, who was in or Maya Hawke, sorry, who was in Stranger Things and stuff. Then he was in a production of Death of a Salesman with Philip Seymour Hoffman, Renee Auberjonois, and Andrew Garfield. You're like, I love
that one.
This one, for me, was just mind-blowing, where apparently back in the 80s, he was in some play I'd never heard of called Design for Living. And people know I love big, flamboyant super villains. And my two favorite villain performances are Frank Langella's Skeletor and M. Bison in the Street Fighter movie. And he was in this production with Frank Langella and Raul Julia, who played M. Bison. And it's like, that was just a thing in the 80s you could go do if you were in America. I was like, I would have killed to see those three guys on stage together. But it was just a real, it's like an off-Broadway thing. They just did some dingy theater back in the day. It's like, that's incredible. But tragically though, now he's out of the movie. He quite literally falls off the screen.
We should hit him up. We can get him on.
Yeah, well, maybe. He is just. The thing is, he's a very, very busy act. Like, even in that interview, he's talking now I'm back. He's on Fear the Walking Dead, I think, or something, and he's just back on the trot.
It doesn't always matter. On my Hedvig show, I got John Cameron Mitchell, who's about to play the Tiger King.
Yeah, that was before that, though. Maybe he didn't even know he was going to play the Tiger King.
True.
In that moment, but yeah, and so we do get the trashing of the lab here. Also, this line, and it's just like a real, we just weren't even really trying here, where she's like, ooh, it's a jungle in here. And it's like, that's not even a phrase. People don't say it's a jungle. You'll say it's a sauna in here if it's really hot.
Yeah.
But it is also it was covered with plants and stuff before, wasn't it? Not as much, but you are in the jungle. That's not even a joke.
It's weird. And the delivery, I love the way she says it. It's a jungle in hee-yah. It's again a bit like a Lady Gaga line, the way she would say it. She always delivers things bizarrely.
It's a good. The delivery is great, but it's just the line is just a dud. It's kind of like one of those we'll write a better joke, eventually, and I was like, no, he doesn't come up with one. So it's a jungle in here. It's that's the best we got. And then who is she saying it to? Bane? To just the air?
Well, again,
the ununited nation guys in the other room? What?
This whole minute is being delivered to something. A plant? Is she talking to the plants?
Oh, that could be, yeah, because I've written down she goes on a mad rant to herself. But maybe it's the plants.
If the plants were reacting in some way, maybe it would be But then
that would be silly.
One thing I do, Poison Ivy does have classically these powers over the plants. Later on, we do see, but then that's I suppose those are the animal plant hybrids she creates. But
yeah,
it could be. Maybe that makes more sense than anything else that she's talking to the plants.
And also, she said the stuff she's saying. Right, it's unfortunate it gets cut off here because we get some of it, but it is one of my, if not my, favorite bit of dialogue in the film. The whole film, where she's like, I am nature's arm, her spirit, her will. Hell, I am Mother Nature. It's like, oh, this speaks to me as an environmentalist and a vegetarian and everything.
And I don't believe what she's saying is the thing. When she's doing this, it feels like she's just kind of coming out with it. It doesn't feel like it's coming from inside her. It doesn't feel. If there was some big sequence where she was literally seeing the green as it is in DC Comics, where she's connected now to all the plants in the world and stuff, and it was like a kind of quasi surrealist sequence. But it just seems like some woman now just deciding yeah, you know what? I'm nature's arm. Her spirits. I am Mother Nature. Why not? Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's me.
How dare you besmirch my queen?
It feels like she's saying less that I'm literally Mother Nature. It's more like it's in her plant world. It's a different way of saying I'm hot shit.
Yeah.
Because she's definitely she's not literally Mother Nature, but she's I'm the queen of everything. I am Mother Nature.
and she can enact Mother Nature's will almost. Like, I can help save nature, where Mother Nature herself cannot.
Yeah.
See, I'm also though just baffled as to why she's trashing her own work. Like this
Well,
is.
she doesn't need it anymore. Screw it.
But the thing is, she does end up needing it. She ends up creating the animal plant hybrid later on. So it's like that would have been from the research she had done previously, and it's like so. And also, she's just littering. This is like now you're all saving the environment. You're trashing this place. This is going to be a gold line in the soil. There's going to be how much of the stuff is biodegradable, Pamela? We don't know.
That's a good point. What about these beakers,
Pamela?
and
things? Yeah. She's also just like really. It's so half-assed. Like again. In comparison to Michelle Pfeiffer ripping that apartment apart, that was like, oh yeah, you can imagine like after that was an exhausting day for Michelle Pfeiffer. And this just feels really like, I'm just kind of throwing a thing in there,
push some stuff,
tear down this bit, and it's just like it feels like really like maybe I don't know if I'm tearing it up or not. I just can't
She is though. I agree with you, but she is keeping in mind like a much cooler character, as in she's calm, she's sophisticated, she's like, so her idea of trashing the place is a bit different. I'm not defending it. It is still, I agree, but
it's more cat-like. You know how cats will like when they're sitting at the edge of the table and there's a mug and they'll look at it for a bit and they'll just casually like it had very that kind of energy to it of she doesn't really need to be trashing the place. But cats sometimes just like, because they're, chaos harbingers.
But I will say also, not to, dredge into comparisons between the two performances much more. Because after this is like the kind of end of the, the Selena Kyle, Pamela Isley comparisons after this scene, really. But like, I did also watch earlier this week, Dangerous Liaisons. Which is a movie that stars both Michelle Pfeiffer and Uma Thurman. Both of them are they're objects of conquest and lust, and they're very objectified by John Malkovich's character Valmont. And I just kind of thought that was interesting. I was like, those two, because both of these, the characters they play in the Batman universe, like, like women who are sort of dismissed by misogynist males. And then, coming back for revenge in a similar fashion. It's like, it's just weird. It was just the two same performers. We'll say, I think I've spoken to John about this in the past. I something about period dramas though, like I just can't get behind. As soon as I like the fashions and stuff, but as soon as I see a powdered wig in anything, I'm just like, I'm out. Like the whole time I was watching it, I was like, I wish I was watching Cruel Intentions. Like I was just like, I like that movie.
No. Oh, I love Dangerous Liaisons.
Yeah, sorry. But it was just the whole time, it was just like, I was having to, in my head, go like, okay, so Uma Thurman is playing Selma Blair, and, Michelle Pfeiffer is Reese Witherspoon. Now I understand what's happening. And I was sitting waiting for a Glenn Close, Uma Thurman kiss that never came.
Because I really like the play, and then the novel that is based off of, like, there's a whole history there. It doesn't just begin and end with Cruel Intentions. It's all good.
That's where it begins and ends for me, Clarisse.
I feel bad that I've never seen either of them.
Oh, I mean, the thing I think Dangerous Liaison's on the BBC iPlayer at the minute, so it's readily available if you want to watch it.
That requires effort.
No, that's I mean, like, I'm sure that I did mention on Facebook that I was watching it, and like I was sort of joking around. I was like, well, clearly Cruel Intentions is better. I did get a backlash of a lot of people saying, imagine believing Cruel Intentions was better.
I thought
than
everybody thought that though.
No, apparently not. Apparently, like, I think actually probably most people will be like, no, Cruel Intentions is like the teen movie they made out of it. This is the proper film they made. But yeah, to me, it was just like, I don't know, man. It was just like, there's so many elements here that I should like, but it's just something about like that era and just any dramas set in that sort of environment. I'm just like, I can't quite keep paying attention to it. I don't know what it is.
Oh no! But like the sexual politics at that time were crazy. That's why it's what's so exciting about Dangerous Liaisons.
Yeah,
is that everyone was just really aggro all the time.
Yeah. I think everyone's killing it in it too. Like, as it's just weird. It's like, one of the few like I think it'll be the only film you ever see Peter Capaldi and Keanu Reeves in the same film at the same time. Like, this is worlds colliding. I never knew they were going to collide. But yeah, of course. So then we get the Poison Ivy trashing. I suppose now we have to formally call her Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Now this is who she officially is now. One thing I will note is that the poison kiss element, which is great, and in this movie, it's like the kiss will kill you. Joel Schumacher keeps saying in behind the scenes bits where it's like, oh, that's the whole pitch of the character, is like she's the most beautiful woman in the world, but if you kiss her, you die. But Poison Ivy's kiss has been like in the comics, it's whatever it needs to do that issue, basically. It's like, yeah, her kiss can do. A lot of the time, it just lures people under her spell. Like at one point, she had a chloroform kiss. In that Harley Quinn TV show, she just has like a kiss can turn you into a tree. It can do whatever she needs to do, like in any given situation, basically. We'll note though, I don't know if I would have. I just kind of think it's a bit weird that they bring in Jason Woodrue, and then he's a big villain in the comics, and then they kill him like within a couple of minutes. It kind of feels to me like the kiss should have turned him into like a brainwashed henchman to her. Like that would have been the crueler punishment for him. So instead of Bane, he was the Floronic Man, but he was like Poison Ivy's minion, basically. And like they even have in one of her appearances, the appearance where they call her, they give her the backstory where she's Lillian Rose. They actually have something that would have alluded to that, where it's a Wonder Woman story, and Wonder Woman's out, trying to cure Steve Trevor because he's been poisoned. It was Poison Ivy, and Poison Ivy has this big lumbering giant henchman called Redwood, who's literally a living tree. And in that story, they give you the whole the backstory of her as being like, oh yeah, she was Lillian Rose. She was seduced by a professor, this guy Marc Legrand, instead of Jason Woodrue. And then at the end of the story, like she's got Wonder Woman captured, and Wonder Woman figures out that Redwood actually is Marc Legrand. Like Poison Ivy has transformed him into a henchman, like a living tree henchman, and she does a whole, listen to the humanity within Mark and all this kind of stuff. And he grabs Poison Ivy, throws her off a waterfall, and that's the last you ever see of him. But it kind of feels like that should have been, like, instead of Bane. Because Bane's, I don't know why he's in this movie. Like, why that character? Like, why? It's nothing like what Bane's supposed to be like. It does feel like you should have just had, Jason Woodrue should have been the Redwood character, and he would be the thug underling. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Bane in the comics, like, is the Tom Hardy Bane anywhere close? Because that also seems like it's a Tom Hardy thing.
I think it's closer in that he is like the backstory they give him, but of course then turns out to be the backstory for Talia al Ghul. Really, that's pretty close to what Bane is. Actually, it's pretty close to what Bane is in this movie as well. Like a lifelong prisoner, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, they make him a bit more of a devious mastermind. But again, it's not Bane's plan in the end. He is but a minion to Talia al Ghul. So
yeah,
in theory, it's a bit more accurate. But actually, then when you get to the end of the movie, it's like, well, not really. Actually, it's nothing like that at all.
So it's, oh my god, the woman who is obviously evil is the evil one.
What
a surprise! Yeah. That really shocked me.
That's all the build up to that movie coming out, and Marion Cotillard going, "Yes, I play a businesswoman."
Sure, you
and that
do.
is the character.
You just happen to be wearing. She's like wearing the like Al Ghul outfit before the reveal, and it's like
we all knew.
She's even got the little goatee and everything going on.
Nolan, like, do you think that we are stupid?
even me, somebody who is a fan of the films, but didn't, at that time at least, I'd never read the comics. Even I knew.
It's the moments watching this, though, particularly during the kiss bit, like, and she's like, and I should mention I'm Poison. And knowing that Tim Burton is Alice Cooper's boy, like, he stuck him in Dark Shadows and everything. I was like, if Tim Burton was directing this, would he have been like, Yeah, well, I really want to put Alice Cooper's poison in this scene, though. It feels now that there must be a dozen YouTube videos of Poison Ivy scenes where they just play Alice Cooper over the top of them.
I was born in the same hospital as Alice Cooper, apparently.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
Not at the same time. Clarify, different ages, but...
Well, he's about 200 years old.
Yeah. But but I really feel it would have been Tim Burton played these things so straight for the most part. But I can't. He stuck Super Freak in Batman Returns, so it's like it would have been like, can I get an instrumental version of Poison playing this at some point? Like, come on, give it to me, give it to me.
Bat fans, please knock that up and put it on YouTube for us.
Yeah. Oh, that's bound to be. There's bound to be YouTube fan videos of Poison Ivy with Poison playing over the top of it already. If there's not, I'll eat my hat.
And you have many hats. You have to eat all of your hats now. You literally have about 10 hats or something.
I think I have more than that.
More, Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah. Does anyone have anything else for minute 26 they want to bring up in particular? Or...
No.
Noted out. We will head off then into the dark night, and we will see you again on Friday for more Batman and Robin. Next time, an enterprising young woman. There's more wanton destruction by the Empress of Seduction, who summons her simp and sets off towards some Gotham City sirens. But while Pamela prepares to peruse some in-flight entertainment, what peculiar karaoke arrangement has been constructed by the cold king of derangement? There's worrisome warbling from the workforce next time, Batmites. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
We'll be back.